Hello and welcome to Shone's Thoughts. I'm going to read through an article. And before I even get to reading the article, I'm going to say that I'm going to read it even if I make mistakes, and I'm going to keep it the way it was. Because I keep starting these articles over again and over again, and I make one mistake in a word, and so I stop and restart it over again. So I want to clarify right at the beginning that this isn't going to be a perfect AI produced reading of this. It's going to just simply be what I read it, and maybe again in the future I'll read it again. So welcome to today's Shone's Thoughts. Today I'm going to be reading an article that I wrote on Substack. You can find it, a description in the link below, and you can read along with me, or if you'd like to, you can watch the video and read along later. Either way, I'm super excited to read this. This is a new initiative that I'm taking, and hopefully you'll take something away that'll be of massive potential for your own healing journey. So let's go at it. And as I said, if I stutter, make mistakes, do whatever, I'm just going to continue reading because I'm tired of starting over. What if healing is something we participate in? My experience with thought field therapy session and why I'm beginning to offer TFT sessions. For a long time, I approached healing in a way that I think many of us do. I looked for something that could heal me, a practitioner, a modality, a treatment, a technique, something outside of myself that I might finally find that would take over what I was carrying inside. Over the years, I have explored many different approaches to healing, spirituality, self-awareness, and personal transformation. Some have become important parts of my life. Others simply became experiences from which I learned. Yet, somewhere along that journey, my understanding of healing began to change. I started asking different questions. What if healing isn't simply something that happens to us? What if it is something we actively participate in? That question eventually led me deeper into a modality called thought field therapy, or TFT. And TFT became much more than something I experimented with once or twice. I eventually trained in the modality and became a certified thought field therapy practitioner. More important, however, I began using it consistently on myself. For a period of my life, I practiced TFT every single day, more than 90 sessions consecutively. I was determined to explore what might happen if, instead of continually carrying my old emotional responses with me, I began consciously working with them. That experience changed the way I think about healing. So, what is thought field therapy exactly? Thought field therapy was developed by clinical psychologist Dr. Roger Callahan and is generally practiced by bringing attention to a particular emotional concern while tapping on a specific sequence of points on the body. The modality describes these sequences as algorithms. Different tapping points are used in particular sequences depending upon what someone is working with. TFT developed within a framework that associates these points with the body's meridian system, the same general concept of meridians that appear in practices such as acupuncture and acupressure. The official thought field therapy organization describes TFT as a sequential tapping procedure developed by Callahan and teaches it as a self-help and practitioner-assisted approach for working with emotional distress, fears, and stress. My own way of understanding it was a little bit simpler. I sometimes picture the meridian system as almost like a system of highways. Imagine traffic flowing normally along a highway until something happens at a particular intersection. Suddenly, everything backs up. Traffic can still move, although the flow has been disrupted. Within the TFT framework, tapping on specific points in specific sequences is intended to work with these disruptions. That is the theory behind the practice. And then there is my experience of actually doing it. My own experiment became more than an experiment. One of the biggest lessons that TFT taught me had very little to do with the tapping points. It taught me about participation. I had previously experienced approaches where I could essentially lie back while someone else did something to me and then wait and see whether I felt different afterwards. TFT asked me to do something different. TFT asked me to participate. I had to notice what I had actually was feeling. I had to become aware of what happened inside of me when I thought of a particular memory, person, or experience. Did my chest tighten? Did I feel something in my stomach? Did anger suddenly rise? Did fear appear? Did an old situation that happened years ago somehow still have the ability to change how I felt in the present moment? That became very interesting to me, because perhaps one of the ways we can discover what we are still holding is to simply observe what continues to have an emotional charge. Think about something from your past, a relationship, a betrayal, an embarrassing moment, something someone said, something you wish you had done differently. What happens inside of you? If you can think about it peacefully, perhaps your relationship with that memory has already changed. Yet, if merely remembering it immediately produces a powerful emotion or a physical reaction, that is something worth becoming curious about. For me, TFT became one of the tools I used to explore those reactions. More than 90 days of showing up for myself. I didn't want to try TFT once and declare that I understood it. I wanted to experience the process. So I kept showing up, day after day, more than 90 consecutive sessions. Sometimes I worked with one thing, sometimes with another memory, feeling, or emotional response surface. And gradually, I started thinking about healing differently. I wasn't trying to erase my life. The experience still happened. The memory could still exist. What I was interested in was changing my relationship with the memory. That distinction became enormously important to me. I began to recognize the difference between remembering something and continually reliving it emotionally. Those are two very different experiences. This also connects with a much larger spiritual perspective that I've discussed throughout Shone's thoughts. I've often talked about attention as a form of energy. If an old experience continually commands my attention and produces the same fear, anger, and shame or sadness every time I remember it, then from my perspective, some part of my present life is still connected to that past experience. My spiritual interpretation of what those energetic connections means is my own. I explore ideas around consciousness, frequency, attention, and energy openly because they are part of how I understand my journey. You do not have to share in all of these beliefs to become curious about a much simpler question. Why does something that happened years ago still have the ability to determine how I feel right now? That question alone can open an extraordinary door. Healing does not mean pretending something never happened. This is another distinction I feel is incredibly important. Healing does not require us to pretend someone never hurt us. It doesn't require us to call harmful behavior acceptable. It certainly doesn't mean abandoning discernment or healthy boundaries. For me, healing is about changing what I continue to carry. There are things today from my own past that once produced much anger reactions in me than they do today. The story didn't have to disappear for my relationship with the story to change. This is also where healing and forgiveness have begun to overlap for me. I have come to see forgiveness less about something we give another person and more that something that can happen within ourselves when we finally are able to loosen our attachment to the pain. If I can remember someone without continually recreating the emotional wound within myself, something has changed. Perhaps that is its own form of freedom. This is why I want to begin offering TFT sessions. After using TFT extensively in my own life, completing the training and becoming a certified practitioner, I feel ready to begin opening sessions for people who are curious about experiencing the modality for themselves. For now, these will be one-on-one video sessions conducted through Zoom or other suitable video platform. Video is important because I need to be able to see the person that I'm working with and guide them through the tapping process visually. During the session, the intention is for us to identify what you would like to work with, pay attention to the emotional response connected to it, and then move through the appropriate TFT tapping process together. I'm there to guide you. You are still the active participant, and that is one of the things I love most about this modality. My intention is also to help people understand what they are doing rather than creating a belief that their healing power belongs exclusively to the practitioner. Eventually, I would love to explore offering in-person sessions when locations and circumstances are made possible. For the moment, video allows me to connecting with people wherever they might be. Is TFT right for you? I can answer that question for you. And actually, I don't want to. One of the reoccurring themes throughout my work is sovereignty. Learning, exploring, asking questions, and discovering what resonates with you with your own experience. I can tell you what TFT has meant in my life. I can tell you why I became a certified. I can tell you why I practice it for more than 90 consecutive days. I can teach you about the tapping points and guide you through the process. Your experience is ultimately your own. If you are curious, learn more about it. Watch my introductory material. Research thought field therapy yourself. Ask questions. And if you feel that you would like to experience a guided TFT session with me, reach out and we can have that conversation. There is no requirement to believe anything or everything that I believe in about consciousness, energy, spirituality, or healing. There is simply an invitation to explore. Start here, learn more about TFT. In this article, if this article has made you curious about thought field therapy, I created a beginner's video specifically to introduce the tapping points and help make the modality more understandable. That's in the article, so you can refer to the article or, well, I guess here as well, and click in the link. Actually, at the end of this video, I will, of course, have the video as the ending, so you can wait until you get to the ending video and then click on the connected video. I also recommend watching a companion video. So this will be another video where I talked about TFT, and it'll also be at the end of this video, and you can link in either one of those. These two conversations provide more of a context behind what I've shared here and allow you to see and hear me explaining the ideas in my own words. If you would like to work with me, I'm now preparing a limited number of private thought field therapy video sessions. If you have been following my healing journey through Shone's Thoughts, New Earth Creations, or other work and feel curious about experiencing TFT for yourself, you're welcome to contact me for more information and availability, session structure, and booking. This isn't about promising to heal you. It's about creating a space where I can share a modality that has become meaningful in my own healing journey and guide you through the experience which you can participate. Because perhaps one of the most empowering changes that we can make is moving away from the question, who is going to heal me? And beginning to ask, how can I participate more fully in my own healing? That question changed something for me, and perhaps it'll open the door for you. So thank you so much for sharing your time and attention with me. And as I said, the two videos that after are the ones that I utilized in order to make this or compose this short scripted version. But there's a lot more of my own personal healing experiences with TFT in the next two videos that I'll link here. And I highly encourage you to go over and listen to them. They are part of my podcast, Shone's Thoughts and Candid Talks, where I fully discuss, explore, and share my own experiences with TFT. So thank you so much for doing this. And if you have any comments or questions or concerns, put them in the comments and I'll get right back to you. And if you're ready to take your healing to the next level, I encourage you to perhaps explore it with me. Thank you so much.